Obviously, from the thumbnail of this video, you guys are wondering why Gavin Newsom is in the process of getting recalled. Now, I know if you're not really up to date on the situation, or if you're up to date on the situation, you're like, I didn't think they were going to make it. Because as usual, whenever there's a recall election, people don't really think that it's actually going to come to fruition. So basically, there's been multiple groups that were unhappy with how Gavin Newsom has been ruling the state of California throughout the pandemic, and also just a lot of the different rules, regulations that he's introduced into the state. And so basically you need 1.5 million signatures to get him on the ballot, to have basically the people of the state of California vote to decide if they want to keep Gavin Newsom in office or if they want to have a different candidate put in there. And so recently, as of January, there's been 1.3 million signatures. So if you think this is due in March, that if they basically only need a few 100,000 more signatures to meet the requirement to get Newsom recalled. So basically what Newsom thought was once, utter BS and he didn't think was ever going to happen is actually coming true. And so for those of you who clicked on this video and you're trying to figure out why, we're just going to go ahead and list off a few reasons.
One, he's a big hypocrite. Like, for starters, he had a bunch of vineyards shut down, but didn't shut down his own.
Yeah, just in general, he wanted to shut down businesses, but kept his business open.
Yeah.
He put his kids back in private school.
Also, how the hell is he allowed to operate his own business when he's in a government job?
He's a governor, so you don't necessarily, just like Trump, you don't have to renounce your business.
But he's still, he's running it still.
I know, you're not necessarily not allowed to. It's just like recommended that you're supposed to
Oh, okay. I thought it was you had to.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what his position is.
It could be like a conflict of interest.
Yeah, but I don't know exactly what his position is in his business currently. But to go back, he put his kids in private school, and all the California schools were closed. All the public schools were closed. He, introduced shutdown orders, but then violated his own shutdown orders with other politicians.
Multiple times.
Multiple times. And those are just some of the things that we're talking about for COVID, especially for the renters. He basically one-sided, landlords and just allowed renters to not pay their rent for a whole year. And while that is a benefit and it did help the people that, the people who lost their jobs and such, it was pretty one-sided because landowners still have to pay their taxes on their property. They still have to pay the upkeep on the property while these people are living in their buildings not paying rent. So it was pretty one-sided. So a lot of landowners were pretty pissed off about that. As far as his taxes, the state of California has been constantly raising taxes, not only on the people, but as well as businesses. And we've seen, thousands of businesses leave the state, and from 2018 to 2020 and 2021, Tesla, Toyota, HP, there's just tons of businesses leaving, which is going to cause, a deficit when taxes are due in 2021. At the end of 2021, we're going to really see the effects of all these people leaving the state.
And knowing Newsom and all, the only resolution he has to that would be raising taxes, just to get California back to its base of where it was, economic base of where it was pre-pandemic.
Yeah, but what we're seeing is basically the decline of California from just 2018 and 2019. Over 1.3, it was 1.2 or 1.3 million people left the state if you combine those 2 years. In 2018, if you look at the growth rate, it was still a loss. So even though 600,000 people left in 2018, let's say 500,000 people still came to the state, we still net lost, 150,000 people roughly. Again, if you want to check out all these numbers, we have all the links to everything in the description. So if you don't believe anything we're saying or you want to fact check us, go in the comments or read the articles and or sources we get them from. But overall, Newsom has just done a pretty bad job handling the state. And just a lot of people are fed up, especially during COVID when people are struggling, businesses are struggling. He didn't necessarily do anything to help these businesses, and continuously reintroducing more and more shutdowns just continued to hurt small businesses, continued to hurt, just businesses in general. And, me and Sonny have talked about all these different businesses that we personally knew that just packed up and left, went straight to Texas or went straight to another state. One of those was Freebirds for me, which was a burrito place franchise in California. And they had about 5 locations, and they just packed up all their locations and went to Texas. So it's just things like this. And, us being obviously living in Los Angeles, we see the businesses leaving, the stores leaving, the people going out of business, people losing their jobs. And, his response was to continue to, shut them down when a lot of the other states in America were opening back up and trying to open businesses safely.
I think California should just pull the trigger and pull a Florida and just open everything back up.
I think we've already been through this there's so many regulations already for businesses being open that
those businesses that left won't come back.
Yeah, what more do we need to do? We have the plastic screens and the businesses in California. There's outdoor dining. You have to wear a mask. Yeah. So it's at this point, what more do you want?
It's not even it goes beyond that. I was watching, I think it was Joe Rogan. He had restaurant owners on from West Hollywood, I think it was. I don't remember the name of the restaurant, but they were talking about situations where they know out of the thousands of restaurants or hundreds of almost thousands of restaurants in just LA, there'd be a handful that would violate the rules, and instead of having the health officials go after those specific ones, they just shut all the restaurants down. Yeah. And then the guy was saying, thankfully, I think the West Hollywood mayor was advocating for them, because that's a big part of West Hollywood is you can go down Sunset and there's so many restaurants and stuff like that, or Santa Monica, there's just a fuck ton of restaurants. But he was I'm glad our mayor is trying to fight for us, but it pales it's not worthless, because it means something to their owners, but it ultimately won't have any net gain, because the governor and the health officials will just come shut all the restaurants down. When it's well, why the don't you just go after the specific ones that are clearly violating the rules? And it's just he doesn't care, man. If he did, it's obvious he doesn't care. If he did, he would be more nuanced with how he's dealing with this. But he doesn't really care about people's how people are gonna find money.
He makes a ton of money, so he doesn't see the actual, harm from what he's doing. And so what we're seeing is now that online learning and online work is so easy now, we're seeing Facebook, Apple, all these major tech companies saying, hey, you don't have to come back to work. And that's doing what? They're going, hey, I can move to Nevada, I can move to Arizona, I can move to Oregon, I can move to Texas, I can move wherever I want, pay less taxes, and make the same income that I'm making now. And, being in California, that's a big plus, because they're I can leave this overtaxed state, this high property value state,
and keep the same job.
And keep the same job, and they can buy a $500,000 house that's massive compared to, you buy $1 million house in Los Angeles, you're basically buying dirt.
There's a dude that I saw.
Yeah, we're seeing, especially just in the U.S., that now that you can work online, people are leaving New York, people are leaving California. And so, this is something that people, you people that are watching that are from California, you have to take into consideration, who should I vote for when this recall election goes through?
Look at the best thing to do when you're looking at, sorry to interrupt you, but when you're looking at anyone to vote for, the best thing you can do is look at their record, what laws did they propose and what laws did they agree to sign on to, and then also look at their public image and see how that lines up with it. Because a lot of you saw with what's his name, Biden, he's been saying, oh, we're gonna get you those $2,000 checks, and they're still not here.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I personally. And then they walked it back recently, and they're like, oh yeah, they're gonna be $1,400. And it's well, you've been saying since what, October or September, you literally ran off of the idea of, I will get you these $2,000 checks.
And then he still can't get us the checks.
He still can't get you the checks, and now he's saying they're going to be $1,400. So
yeah, and we're seeing just Newsom's policies. The zero bail policy is one of my biggest issues. George Gascon in the city of Los Angeles, I have an issue with him too because George Gascon, the new DA, has like non-prosecute. He's a non-prosecute list for crimes. The Gavin Newsom has the zero bail policy in place. So if you commit a misdemeanor, all you do is you get arrested, you go to jail, you get processed, and you get let out. There is no bail. There is no, we're keeping this person until, X amount date or until you pay your bail. So, people that, do carjackings, people that break into cars, things that are misdemeanors, you're basically letting them out into the streets. Misdemeanor assault, misdemeanor battery, you get arrested for it and then you immediately get let out after they process you. Huh?
Born in Cuba.
Really?
Yeah. Well, according to GeorgeGascon.org, he was born in Havana, Cuba, in 1954, so he's like 66.
Yeah, I don't like him. He messed up San Fran. But that same thing. Another one of the child pedophilia thing that he signed.
SB
Newsom.
145.
Yeah, where he
Did he sign it? I know it got to his desk. Did he approve it?
I'm pretty sure he signed it. I'll look it up right now just for you. Yeah, Gavin Newsom on Friday signed a law that would give judges a say on whether to list someone as a sex offender for having oral or anal sex with a minor.
So there's just
And this was September of 2020. So he basically.
Okay, but is it a law officially? Even if it's not a law, like that's, if it's to give.
This measure
No,
won't apply
dude,
to
that's
when a
just-
minor is under 14, when the age gap is larger than 10 years, or when either party says the sex wasn't consensual. But basically, that's allowing child pedophilia. It's basically saying like, oh, if they said it was consensual.
If they're under 14?
Yeah, if they're under 14, it doesn't apply. And obviously, if they say like it was rape, then it's not. But they're basically saying for those people who have sex with a child and they say it was consensual, the judge has a say if he wants to list them as a sex offender or not.
The only thing, okay, but like a law like that would also.
And this was, I think, SB 145.
It was 145.
I know, like for Texas, they have the Romeo Juliet law.
But still, this is exactly. Why wouldn't you just do something like that as opposed to?
Yeah,
because this is so broad.
It's so broad in the sense of as long as they're not 10 years in age difference, and basically 14 and up is okay. Is basically what this law says. So if you're under the age of 14, then this doesn't apply. But if you're 14 and up, like from 14 to 17, if you have sex with them and it's consensual, then the judge has to say whether or not, you can be listed as a sex offender.
Okay, so what if a 23-year-old has sex with a 14-year-old? Because it's not 10 years. I feel like I don't think that's consensual, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
That's just
this
so.
law, just think about it. Who does this benefit though? You can say like, oh, high schoolers that just turned 18 that having sex with a 17-year-old, okay, but even then that's still wrong. And
right.
You're allowing 14 is the age that you can choose. So
this is so stupid.
Exactly. So trying to get back on track here, my whole point is these are just some of the things that Gavin Newsom has done, like the zero bail policy, SB 145, high taxes, high regulations, and basically continuing a war on the upper class in the state of California when the upper class pays over 50% of all taxes in the state. Most of our tax revenue comes from the millionaires and billionaires of the state. And so he's forcing all these people out. His COVID restrictions were BS because he wouldn't even abide by the multiple things that he put in place. He let his kids go to school. He kept his business open, and he went out multiple times with other politicians and just broke his own laws. So people are just kind of fed up. They're done. They're like, you're ruining our state. We want you out. And they're currently at 1.3 million signatures. They only need 1.5. Probably 2 million just because, signatures always get thrown out for being invalid if, they can't read the address and whatnot. But this is so close that I'm not going to be surprised when this goes through and they say he's getting recalled, special election coming up.
He's just an idiot, in my opinion. I don't think he really thinks about the stuff he talks. I don't think he genuinely thinks things through about when he signs bills or even his actions, like everything you just called him
I
out
just
on.
think he has like this massive ego where he doesn't think that anything applies to him, and that he thinks that he can do whatever he wants and it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, you're
And
not
so
the
I
law,
feel like
buddy.
this is a big reality check because, you know, getting recalled is like, nah, dude, we don't want you in
If
here
he gets
anymore.
recalled, then someone should fucking sue him, and he'd probably get arrested.
I think multiple cities, like Newsom's has been getting sued, and the the city of Los Angeles is getting sued for certain things, for radical policies like we'll shut off your ability to live,
Yeah.
we'll turn off your electricity and water.
That's like if they really wanted to, and they should take that to the UN, because it's a violation of like the Geneva Accords. or
Yeah, it's a
something.
violation of your human rights. You're basically
Yeah.
saying if you don't listen to us, we're going to take away your ability to live like the life you were living with no power and no water. Like that's crazy. Finish this off. Just comment down below which policies you think of Newsom's are good or bad. Comment down below if you want him recalled or not. And, you know, comment down any questions you guys have for us. And as always, the links for everything we're talking about is in the description, so you can fact check. You can go read the articles for yourself. So we're going to finish this off here, and we'll see you guys next time.